Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about my top 10 head coaching candidates. I'm excited to get into it. It's a video that a lot of people have been asking in the comments and said, who do you want for head coach in 2021? Well, I'm going to give you a list of 10 candidates, my top 10. But before we get started, just wanted to mention that you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. If you're interested, you could also subscribe to the podcast wherever it is that you get your podcasts, Just Jets. You can also call in, leave me your question. I'll try to get to it on the show. Last but not least, patreon.com/Matt O'Leary NY. You can subscribe for more bonus content, videos, articles, podcasts. Whole lot of fun over there. If you're interested, make sure to check it out. Link in the description below. All right, so before I get into who I want, or my top 10 at least, let's talk about guys who are either A, not going to happen, or B, I want no part of. In the comments, I have gotten Rex Ryan. I don't know how many times. I don't know if they're serious, but no, Rex Ryan is not coming back. The NFL has passed him by. He's very good on TV. Let him live. He was fine for his first few years. Things got rough in the last year or two, and yeah, I'm over Rex Ryan, guys. It was fun a couple of years, but no, we're not bringing Rex Ryan back. Bill Cowher is another one that I've gotten. The man has not coached in the NFL since 2006. In 2008, after they fired Eric Mangini, it was like, oh, maybe they'll hire Bill Cowher. That was over a decade ago. No, Bill Cowher's not going to be hired. He's going to be on your CBS set every single week. No, they're not bringing in Bill Cowher. Lincoln Riley, I love the guy. He's not leaving Oklahoma. Josh McDaniels, I think he's an interesting candidate. He's not leaving the Patriots. I think he's going to take over that job or go somewhere else. I don't see him coming to the Jets. Bill O'Brien, obvious reasons. The guy was a disaster in Houston as a general manager and a head coach. Very overrated. No thank you on Bill O'Brien. Jim Caldwell, same thing. Nice guy. I'm all set on Jim Caldwell. Last one's probably going to be a hot take for some people. Other people probably agree. Jim Harbaugh. I want no part of Jim Harbaugh. He has not been good at Michigan. It's been a failure there. Shea Patterson was supposed to be this great quarterback. He stunk at Michigan. Ask any Michigan fan. They will tell you that Jim Harbaugh has underwhelmed. I know he had some solid years with the San Francisco 49ers. He wears out his welcome pretty quickly. That would not be a long-term solution. I'm all good on Jim Harbaugh. So now that we got those guys out of the way, let's talk about it. I'm excited. My top 10 candidates coming in at number 10 is Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys, former Boise State quarterback, and then he was with the Dallas Cowboys as a player. He went from quarterback coach to offensive coordinator the last 2 years. Last year, his offense was first in yards, sixth in points. This year, it is first in yards, 10th in points. He has had a really, really good start to his career as an offensive coordinator. Clearly, he's a smart play caller. I like how he designs his plays. I think he is a head coach in the making. He's going to get a shot. Maybe it's with the Jets. With his lack of experience, I think that holds him back a little bit, which is why he's 10 on my list. And if you're getting to your 10th candidate, that's probably not the best thing. But he still makes the list. He's still good enough to make the top 10. Intriguing guy, not super high up on my list, but good enough to make it for sure. Next up, coming in at number 9 is Mike McDaniel, the run game coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. He's been there since 2017. And I know what you're probably thinking. Why the heck do you want somebody who's not even an offensive coordinator? He's not a coordinator. He's just a run game coordinator. What does that even mean? Well, essentially, he's been Kyle Shanahan's right-hand man since 2006 when he was with Houston. He's been an offensive assistant coach in Houston, Washington, Atlanta. He was a wide receiver coach in Washington and Cleveland. And many believe that he is the next Kyle Shanahan. He is the next great offensive mind. The players absolutely love him. Kittle cannot stop talking about this guy. Look it up, read any article on Mike McDaniel. Kittle has nothing but nice things to say about him. He seems like a player's coach. He's an intriguing guy. Again, not super high on my list, but still good enough to make it. Mike McDaniel's an intriguing option. I think he might need another year before he gets like some more real serious looks, but still intriguing. I would say he's 9th on my list. Coming in at number 8 is Matt Campbell. He turned both Toledo and Iowa State around. That's where he is right now at Iowa State. He seems poised to make the jump from college football to the NFL. My one little concern is if he's going to be able to have this amount of success that he's had in smaller markets in New York. That's my one thing, which is why he's a little bit further down. I would still be happy if they hired Matt Campbell. I think he's someone who is almost similar to Matt Rule in terms of turning programs around. We're going to talk more about him. Go figure, right? The guy who's obsessed with Matt Rule is going to talk about him. I still really wish he was hired in 2018. Anyway, but Matt Campbell is still an intriguing option. I think he would be a good choice. I would be surprised if the Jets hired him, but he has gotten looks and calls from NFL teams, so he's definitely going to be on the radar, and he's on my radar as well. Coming in at number 7 is Todd Monken. He's the offensive coordinator for the Georgia Bulldogs right now, has had success in the NFL not too long ago, has had a good career. Let's talk about him. So from 2016 to 2018, he did a tremendous job with Tampa Bay, got a lot out of that offense. He struggled last year with Cleveland, but he is someone who was able to bounce back this year with Georgia. Smart offensive mind, got a look the last time in 2018. I think he's probably more likely to come back as a coordinator first, but I would not be opposed to bringing him in as a head coach. He does have head coaching experience at the college level. He built up Southern Miss from 0-12. They were an 0-12 program the year before he got there, and in his third year, brought them to 9-5. So he is at least experienced in turning around crappy programs and making them good. So maybe he is a good candidate for the Jets. Coming in at number 6, we are staying at the college route. We're going PJ Fleck. He is with Minnesota, and I call him Matt Rule light. He is very similar to Matt Rule in where everywhere he goes, he's able to turn the program around, and players love playing for this guy. At Western Michigan, he went from 1-11 to 13-1 in 4 years. Minnesota, 5-7 to 11-2. He is quick at turning these things around, has an extremely intense personality on the sidelines, which I love. He has the row the boat mentality. He gets his players to buy in. And I think that's important because the guy you have now, Adam Gase, is like the exact opposite of that. Nobody likes playing for Adam Gase. But if you get a guy who can relate to the younger players, which obviously he's doing it in college and doing it quite well, then yeah, I'm all about that. I think he is someone who's going to make the jump like what Matt Rule did. And I would not be surprised if the Jets give him a call. And he's pretty high on my list at number 6. Coming in at number 5 is Joe Brady. Yes, Joe Brady is extremely young. He's the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers. Last year, he was the passing game coordinator for the LSU Tigers, and Joe Burrow had massive, massive success. But Matt Rule goes to Carolina and goes, that guy did wonders at LSU, brings him to Carolina, and look how good that offense has been. They don't have a ton there. They're without their best player in Christian McCaffrey. Teddy Bridgewater at best is like an okay quarterback, but they have him throwing for 300 yards and him getting the ball to Robbie Anderson. Robbie was supposedly with the New York Jets just a deep threat. I never bought into that, and clearly Matt Rule and Joe Brady didn't either, and they have him like a top 5 receiver in football right now. When you talk about offensive minds and offensive gurus and geniuses, this is it. Joe Brady is it. Adam Gase's fraudulent offensive mind. We knew that when he was hired. Joe Brady is a legitimate offensive mind. Yes, he's young, which is probably why he's 5th and not like higher up there for me. But if he does not get hired this cycle through, it's not going to be long before he's a head coach in this league. He has Sean McVay vibes written all over him. Coming in at number 4, we have Brian Daboll of the Buffalo Bills. He's the offensive coordinator there. He's actually an Eric Mangini guy. So he was with him with the Jets briefly and then with the Cleveland Browns, and I think he's done a tremendous job. In addition to Mangini and his current job that he's done in Buffalo, he's worked under Nick Saban and Bill Belichick. Something else that I like about Brian Daboll, yes, he's been focusing on the offense a lot more recently in his career, but he does have experience on both sides of the ball, which I think matters. He's been around good coaches. Some of that's got to rub off, and I think, again, he's done a tremendous job with Josh Allen, who, let's be honest, is flawed as a prospect, has done really, really well. So Brian Daboll, to me, is a really good choice to be a head coach. Coming in at number 3, Greg Roman. He's a New Jersey guy. He's the current offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, and this guy has been able to do a ton with a lot of different quarterbacks. He was the OC for the San Francisco 49ers from 2011 to 2014, the Bills in 2015 and 16, and the Ravens from 2019 to present. And he was able to build an offense and different offenses with different skill sets with Alex Smith. Alex Smith had a ton of success with him. Then Colin Kaepernick after that. Obviously, they're not the same kind of players. You have to change up the offense, and he had success. Tyrod Taylor, who arguably looked the best in Buffalo and it was fine there. Who's a fine, efficient passer. And then Lamar Jackson. Like, none of those guys are really the same. And maybe you could say Colin Kaepernick is similar to Lamar Jackson, but let's be real. Lamar is a much more talented passer than Colin Kaepernick. The point, all 4 of those guys were better when they were around this guy. And I think that he, too, is someone who is ready to take that jump from coordinator to head coach. I think it would be smart to give him a look. And he's from Jersey. Green Bean loves him. So if you watch Jets Nation or our roundtables over on Jets Talk 24/7, you've probably heard Green Bean talk about him. And if Green Bean likes him, he's good enough for me. I've done my research. He seems legit. Everywhere he goes, he has offensive success. So get him to New York. That's why he's in my top 3. Coming in at number 2, Eric Bieniemy. Yes, I believe the hype is real with Eric Bieniemy. He was the offensive coordinator since 2018 for the Kansas City Chiefs. They finished 1st, 6th, and 3rd in yards, 1st, 5th, 9th in points. Yes, Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes have a ton to do with that, but I think if you're trying to dismiss Eric Bieniemy, you're not looking at the full picture. I do think that he has a lot to do with the offense, and he's been around so many good coaches there. They have had a ton of success, and I think that he's had a ton of success wherever he's going. Even before his time as offensive coordinator, from 2013 through 2017, he was the running backs coach, and they've had a ton of success with their running backs in Kansas City. And then before that, he was a running backs coach in Minnesota from 2006 through 2010. And we know who was there through that time, had a ton of success with Chester Taylor earlier, and then Adrian Peterson. So yeah, this guy knows what he's doing. 1, the Andy Reid coaching tree is really, really efficient. We know that. And 2, Andy Reid said he was ready 2 years ago to be a head coach. Like, this isn't someone who's like doesn't call plays and is just like along for the ride. He's legit. And if Andy Reid, someone that I trust, I think he's the second best coach in football behind Bill Belichick, or if not second, he's in the top 5. If he is saying that this guy is ready, then okay, I'm buying in as well. So I would be thrilled if Eric Bieniemy is the head coach of the New York Jets. I have a feeling he's going to Houston, but if not, I would really like him to come to New York. And coming in at number 1, the guy that I desperately want to be the New York Jets head coach in 2021, Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans. He has done a tremendous job over the last 2 years there. Last year, they were 12th and 10th in yards and points. This year, they jumped up to 2nd in both. And boy, has he revitalized Ryan Tannehill after he was ruined by Adam Gase. So if next year, for whatever reason, you are sticking with Sam Darnold, then I would like the chances of Arthur Smith reviving Sam Darnold. Or if you go with Trevor Lawrence, I would like to believe that Arthur Smith would be able to get a ton out of Trevor Lawrence too. So it's a win-win scenario either way, whichever side of the fence you fall on in that debate. He's a big play action fake guy and running game guy, which is a little bit different than how Adam Gase likes to run his offense, which would be a polar opposite, which is what we want here. Since 2018, his offense has put up 30-plus points 10 times. Gase's offense has done it 3 times over that span. Again, polar opposites. He's put up 40 a bunch of times too. This guy's legit, and the Tennessee Titans are a wagon. They are a team that is going to be really solid this year offensively and a real threat in the AFC South. And I think if Mike Vrabel likes the guy, who I think Mike Vrabel's a good coach, and let's face it, he's a Belichick guy too. So Arthur Smith, man, I think this guy's legit. Not only has their offense been really productive, also, they've been pretty clutch. They've scored clutch at a lot of times, which is a sign of preparation, and it also just goes to show that the execution is really good. What does Adam Gase say every week? Oh, the execution's not there. Well, part of that's on the coaching staff. Like, your team's not prepared. That's what that means. But that's not going to be the case with Arthur Smith. So I think he was my number 1 choice. If I had the choice and I'm like unlimited money, I could pay anybody that I want. He's the guy that I'm going with. But any of these 10 guys, I'd be happy with. And there's some other ones, I'm sure. So get at me in the comments who somebody I didn't mention, maybe someone I left off the list. Who do you want to see as the Jets head coach in 2021? But for now, that's going to do it for me. Thanks so much. If you're new here, subscribe. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I will talk to you next time.